Hello, everyone. This is Michael Mirdad here. Thank you for joining us. We're going to do our program today. It's called Spiritual Insights with Michael Mirdad, Friday night Spiritual Insights with Michael Mirdad. Very much appreciate you joining us. And today we're going to talk about something related to relationships. I tend to just teach on whatever comes through at any given time. Yet this weekend is, I believe, Valentine's Day. So it's kind of an auspicious time to talk about relationships. Before I do, I just want to make sure you all know and remember, you're welcome to join us any Friday. The program is free. We've done this for years, and it's roughly 5:30 till 6 at the most, Arizona time. But this program is about 30 minutes at the most. I try to keep it below that. And you can watch a whole catalog of different talks, and we group them together in playlists on YouTube, so you can go and check them out there. You can also, scroll forever to find different talks on Facebook as well. And we also have Sunday programs, Sunday sacred services from Unity of Sedona, and that's Sunday at 10 o'clock Arizona time. Very deep spiritual teachings there. The ones on Friday are reserved a little bit more for whatever topics are up at the time, or a bit more psychology and personal growth, versus Sunday, more deeper spirituality topics. All righty. So, and of course they do overlap. So thank you for joining us. Keep in mind, I have a website. You can go there to check out what I've got. I've got hundreds of things for free online. On my website, I have an online store where you can check out books on relationships, spirituality, healing, and so on. And I've got DVDs and CDs available there too as well. All right. So thank you. Today we're going to talk about relationships, and then subtitled, we'll call it Vibrational Compatibility. Okay. Or not, as the case may be. So let's talk about that for a moment. The concept of vibration has become very popular. Everybody's like, it's not vibrationally this, it's not vibrationally that. Something is vibrationally happening. People use it as ascension-oriented terminology, but also because of the popularity of something called the law of attraction, which was a law that's existed forever, but it's just one law of many. It's one that becomes popular, so popular because people want to attract things. They want stuff. They're still using that law to get stuff, which doesn't help matters, because if I approach my life with an unconscious, in my heart, belief that I'm flawed, it doesn't matter what I think with my head, or it matters very little. If I sit around saying I'm going to use my head to concentrate, raise my vibrations, and get something different in my life, just relax, man. You're going to have an aneurysm trying to get your head to do what you want it to do and fix your life. Go to your heart. Calm down. Own that you got some low self-worth patterns. Uproot them and replace them with the God presence. This is all metaphoric, by the way. My lower three chakras are my outer life. This is my physical, emotional, and intellectual chakras that tell me about how my typical life patterns are. The heart is where I have my soul and my belief systems. The upper three chakras represent the Trinity of God, versus the lower three, the Trinity of mankind, or humanness. The heart's in between the two, choosing. We're thinking that we're choosing between one or the other, which is how we live our lives, and that can create conflict. Always trying to, which one, they're pulling on me. What you really want to do is create an alignment, a vibration of alignment versus conflict. Alignment can only come one way. Have your priorities straight. God descending into my heart, descending into my life. So that as above, as below, as within, so without. Everything being vibrationally compatible. Vibrational compatibility does not mean simply walking down the street and going, oh, look, there's a 10 and I'm clearly a 10. We should hook up somehow. That's not what it's supposed to be looking like. It's not supposed to be coming from a shallow place. But the law of vibration, which is partly what's behind the law of attraction and many other laws, the law of vibration is not by any stretch the strongest of the laws, which is why the law of attraction is really only a surface level law, guys. Sorry if you're really into that, but I'm just telling it like it is. That law is still about outer attraction. There's another law, the law of being, that will change the vibration and then change the attraction. What I believe I am, what I believe, is what I choose to be. And I can be off center, which changes my vibration, which then changes my ability to attract whatever I'm going to attract. The more I allow myself, no more, I'm going to be this and I'm going to be that. Because the law of attraction can tempt you to try to set your own vibration, which is what they tell you to do. A lot of teachers in that topic. Change, your own. No, you're the one who screwed you up. Call on something else that remembers your divinity. You don't remember your divinity. Yeah, stand out there and go, yes, I do. This guy's nuts. I don't like him. Then great. Go off and do whatever. But if you're willing to hear and be honest about this, the humans that have miscreated this world, a world with any form of limitation means it's evidence that it's a miscreated world. So the humans that have miscreated this world have forgotten who they are. The problem, amnesia. What's really behind the amnesia is the choice to have amnesia. So the choice to think we're separate from love and God is the root of all evil, figuratively speaking. And then that creates amnesia. Then the amnesia creates people running around struggling to remember who they are. And then that creates us trying to hook up with other people that complete us. For God's sakes, people, it's not going to happen. And so you dress it up in something called vibration and attraction, and you still end up with a lunatic. It's not helping. Change your beliefs of who you are. And you don't have to go anywhere. As soon as you go out your door to look, you're outside yourself, symbolically. You could be so vibrationally high because your belief systems are so high that someone could show up at your door because you're so aware of who you are. And then a very natural thing can happen. Sometimes there's anomalies where high vibration attracts a negative because it's a test, not a meant to be kind of relationship. So it'll happen. But it can also happen now that I am. And the I am that is God becomes the I am that's me, my soul. And that becomes the I am happy in my outer life, lower chakras. It's so beautiful. The beliefs create it all. The beliefs, basically the creation ultimately comes from the I am as God created me. But my beliefs make the decision as to whether I'm going to stay in alignment with that or not. So when you go out and say, I'm going to create my own reality and not get into the God stuff, the God aspect, then you're still in the little I am, which is really the I am ego. What you really want to be looking for is stop the fight. Even the people that tell you to go vibrationally create what you want, pause for a minute and say, that's still my head trying to convince me to come from me. And if you want to believe that, and if that's as deep as you can go, then go with that, because it's better than nothing. Please go with it. Honestly, I mean that sincerely. Go with it if that's as far as you can go. Those of you who are ready for deeper have to realize, wow, I don't want to come from my head. I don't want to come from my solar plexus. I don't want to come from my navel center. I don't want to come from my root chakra. I want to come from the part of me that is as close as possible to the I am presence of God itself. So I'm going to go humility instead of headstrong. Humility. You show me, God. You look at astrology, signs like, let's say, Gemini, or even just the planet Mercury. It's a beautiful glyph for Mercury, and it's a beautiful statement, the Gemini, the warring twins. It's not just warring between two parts of myself. The ultimate warring twins are between God and myself. And I have to learn there's only two as long as I think I'm separate. But as soon as I can let go of separation, mainly by forgiving myself for every sign and symptom of it in my life and with other people, Then all of a sudden, the warring twins that look like this in the glyph, all of a sudden they become this. And I start to realize I ascend into accepting God's will as my will. I align the two. It's no longer this warring in me, and it's no longer this, a battle between heaven and earth. All of a sudden, I ascend. So even ascension is part of this conversation today. So that's getting kind of the laws, I guess. And I want to still come back to relationships, because that's what we're saying this is partly about. And it's the weekend of Valentine's Day. But, it's about, how do I create that special someone? You mean somebody that agrees with everything you think and say and do? And, good luck. I mean, relationships there's two types. Remember, some of you who know me as a teacher, you've heard me say this. There's gifting and karmic. Okay. The irony, though, is that gifting relationships are like the ones that are like a breath of fresh air. So nice. And you think, well, the gifting ones are going to last forever. No, because even those are going to reveal stuff eventually, wounds and triggers eventually. But gifting relationships certainly are. They're ones that mirror our value. But the oddity here is that the gifting ones don't just show up out of the blue. They show up because of work you've done on yourself. Sobriety doesn't just show up. It shows up after having done work on, 12 steps or sobriety. So gifting relationships are the result of good work on your part. Good work meaning what? Counseling, inner child work, uprooting your stuff, learning to reveal who you are, learning to be transparent, owning, being responsible, right? Getting away from rage and learning, all the higher order. How do you do that? Working on yourself. So you don't just sit in your living room, read and listen or whatever to material on vibration and attraction and sit down and go, okay, I absolutely want this kind of person. I want them to look like this, vibrationally compatible, because I'm so wonderful. The fact that you're in denial is already going to create something horrible anyway. So to sit there and go, I'm wonderful because I read this book and it tells me I'm great. Not having healed anything, not having taken responsibility, all you are is in denial. So great. Now the law of vibration is going to manifest in the law of attraction as attracting someone who's also in denial. Probably you'll end up with an addict of some kind. Isn't it pleasant to spend some time with me on a Friday night? Anyway, so what you might do instead is sit down and say, just like a 12-step program, to sit down and say in your own way, I have a problem. And I can see in my relationships it's been reflected. Yes, I could sit here and give a list, grocery list, shopping list, bullet point list of each person I've dated and all the problems they had and why I'm not with them. But I am the common denominator after all. It doesn't have to be romantic. Any relationships. Yeah, I had this with siblings and I had that with my parents and my first this, my third that, my third relationship, my third lover, my third marriage, whatever. Yeah, I can see some patterns. So I may not know what my part is, but I'm at least going to own that I played a part. Maybe I'll have insights and epiphanies around what that part looks like. It might be fear of commitment or whatever. And insights and epiphanies, great. But if that doesn't come, it doesn't matter. I'm not needing the epiphanies as much as I'm needing to own the opposite of those epiphanies, the dark places of myself, my fear of growing old alone or whatever it is. And then let it up and out, like in a spiritual form of vomiting, onto the altar. Talk to the Divine Mother, the Holy Spirit of God, and say, Holy Shekinah, I didn't know this was there, or if I did, I didn't own it, and here it is. I'm aware of these pitfalls. Help me to work on this. Instead of, right now I want to manifest the perfect somebody, I'm going to go to the grocery store and I'm going to meet them. Yeah, you can manifest. It looks like miracles. And I did meet somebody, and they were the sign of the zodiac my psychic told me they would be. It's got to be them. It doesn't impress me. Many of you people have come to me, Michael, I met them. And then you have another session a month later. Oh, Michael, I'm in pain. It wasn't them. And I'm like, yeah, remember I told you that wasn't them. So You got to do healing. If you want a better person to meet at the altar of partnership, even if it's just the altar of a healthy friendship or siblingship, if you want something to be healthy at that altar, you've got to bring stuff to the sacrificial altar of the old you out. How can you expect to be the same person that's been married and divorced 15 times, walk up to this ceremony in your living room and go, I'm now going to create perfect? Really? Have you changed at all? Oh, I have. I've read 3 books since my last marriage. That's not it. What have you become? Not what did you read? What did you become? Oh, well, I started doing affirmations of vibrational healing every day. Really? Tell me, you're telling me what you added. What did you take out? What did you heal? All you're telling me is you've polished your tombstone a bit more. You're still dead. You're still not alive. You're still not spiritually awake. You just polished it up with vibrational, healing work, whatever you want to call it. Law of attraction kinds of visualizations. If you're still a blankety blank, what good is that? So stop. Work inside here. Don't tell me what you're doing out here with your head. Work inside here. Change your beliefs about yourself and others. How? First and foremost, forgiveness. Not, fine, I forgive my ex. Now can I create a perfect other? Forgiveness at the deepest level. Forgive them for what you saw in them and thought you saw in them. Forgive them for what you wanted them to be and they weren't. Forgive yourself for being so weak that you needed them to be something for you. Forgive yourself for your own foibles and frailties and challenges and flaws and pitfalls and own them. The more you can own, which sounds demeaning, self-deprecating, but the more you own them, the more room you've made for a new vibration to come settling inside yourself. The Holy Spirit of God starts descending into your being because you made room. And that's when you start seeing the sparkles and the twinkles and the whoa, where you're trying to make new vibration with your head, person A, person B is going, no. Of myself, I can do nothing. Why would I want to try to fix my life with the same mind that miscreated it? So instead, no. I'm ready. I'm going to devote some time to cleaning up my own side of the street, cleaning up my own act, getting to know myself, my frailties, does it mean you can't date or do anything at the time, while you're in the process? It would be best if you didn't, because if something goes a little well, you're going to get distracted. People do this all the time. I mean, God, I've been teaching for so long, and I can remember people back to the 80s in workshops, attendees, regulars. And eventually, and there's a gal there, it's usually a gal that goes through this, but it could be a guy or a gal. Often it's been a gal who sits there working on herself, really attending devoutly to listening and learning about herself. But then just so happens she meets a guy, and now they sit together, and isn't that neat? And pretty soon they're holding hands in class, and then they go to dinner after class, and it develops into a relationship. Never see her again. Because the guy tempted her into thinking, wow, so this is great. I was learning about things, and now I met somebody, and off they go. And it doesn't work. They usually end up having some terrible stuff happen. Not to mention they got distracted. But yet I'm not saying do nothing, see nobody until you're done with your process. Well, how long is that going to take? Technically, it's a lifelong thing, and it lasts lifetimes. So I'm not saying become celibate and abstinent and so on. Just self-aware enough to know, even if I date, I'm just dating. And that was nice. Thank you. Another person, just it's a date. Stop the obsessing on, are they them? You're not you yet. How can they be them? The person perfect for you. Who are you? Well, I'm a person who's this and that. You better get to know yourself. And there is a point where you start to say, I know enough now that if I push a button that manifests a relationship, now would not be a good time, because if the vibration of another will be somehow either compatible to mine or bringing me lessons, that I'm not excited about that right now. So no button gets pushed. But there's a point you get to where you go, I feel safe enough within my addiction of codependence, or whatever other addiction you want to think it to be, my addiction to low self-worth, because it becomes an addiction, or at least a pattern. So if I have patterns that are not stabilized enough, do I really want to push that button? Because damn it, I'm going to get somebody like that or somebody to bring up tests around that. So don't push it. But there will come a time when you go, I feel stable enough to where something shows up, I play. I don't get all overly into it. Just play. Just play. It's like life is a play, and there's dress rehearsals and undress rehearsals. So I'm going to play a little bit, little dress rehearsal, little undress rehearsal, and just enjoy. But if you see that you're slipping back into, oh my God, I'm going to go all the way with this, and I'm going to, you have sex the second date, you want to get married the second month, you better stop and go, oh, crap, there I am again. The other me. Stop, pull back. Most people don't have the wisdom to see that and the strength to apply what they saw, unfortunately. So it's up to you. But what I can say is, and in closing, is think of a 0 to 10 scale vibrationally and be honest. How could you be honest about what number you vibrate to if you don't know yourself? If you've done no self-work? And I don't mean I'm wonderful self-work. I mean, oh man, I've got a certain pattern of this and that, tendencies and so on, I mean, you should be so honest and vulnerable that you could almost imagine. It's a nice exercise you could do. Let's pretend you've had 5 relationships in your life. Go ahead and write their names down and write down a few for each of them, things that they would say about you. I'm talking about in terms of patterns and negative stuff. They might find you attractive. Yes, that's nice. Don't waste time putting that. You can put that on another list if you want to, flatter yourself. Over here, make a list of how they perceive you. I'm not saying you agree with what they say, but just do it anyway. When you're done, you might see some patterns that they kind of all agree. You're a little distant, or you're a little avoidant, or you're a little angry, or whatever it is. Obsessed, or, that you're an addict, or whatever it is. Write those things. Now that's kind of hard, man. That's hard hitting. I know that, but that's honesty. And you have to go, oh God, I'm not saying it's true, but what can I learn from that list? Because the only reason I was in those relationships was for me to see these parts of myself anyway. So think about it. Now I'll just do it on a piece of paper instead of having to have 5 more relationships over a 20-year span, wasting my days on earth, when I could have done it on a piece of paper in minutes. Get to it. Wow, cool. Now I know the worst of myself, I guess, when it's perceived by other people. Now I can work on that. So instead of me being a 3 when I look at that paper, oh man, I'm like a 3. I was honest, I cleared it, I forgave them, I forgave myself. Now I could even see us, if I had cleared all that in the first place and they had cleared their stuff, we might have gotten along a little better. So God bless you, thank you. And now I feel like I'm a 5. Now I can do, instead of the inner deep harsh work, start embellishing a little, the positives. I think I'm ready for intimacy, and I want it to be a nice intimacy. I think I'm ready for people that have a sense of humor, positives. And that might take you to where you go, I'm like a 6 or a 7. Pretty cool. You still might meet some other 3s. Why? Because you might think you're a 7 and you're still a 3. That could happen. But it also can happen where you're sort of a 7. But the universe is saying, well, if you're a 7, let's test it. Let's bring a 3 into your life and see how quickly you can see it's not for you. The person enters your life, wonderful sex. Oh my God, this is so wonderful. Now my life is definitely a 7, maybe even an 8, because this is so wonderful. And then you find that great sex also included addiction that you didn't know about. So they're trying to call you back to their level, which is really you unconsciously saying, maybe I'm not healed all the way. So you can resent them. And it isn't nice that they are that way, but it doesn't help to resent them. It's more like, oh my God, thank you. Oh, you don't say it to them out loud, but thank you. You are me testing myself, and I'm not a 3. So thank you, and God bless, you're saying to them, in your mind. I'm going to go ahead and stay at this level now that I see that I'm screwed up, or I'm going to stay at the 7 and thank you, bid you farewell, and they disappear. Because you will be tested at the level you believe yourself to be. especially if you're prematurely thinking yourself to be somewhere. Then the universe is really going to kick your butt and say, oh, really? You think you're a 9, huh? You know, we checked your records and you're a 4, you know, and that's a real rude awakening. And it's okay. Don't let your heart be too disturbed or troubled by these kinds of insights that you end up having about yourself. Just, oh man, that was a tough visual. That was a tough lesson. I get it. I see it. Now what can I do to make myself authentically that higher number? Sometimes sometimes those 3s are wanting to hook up with a 7 because that would make them feel superior. Other times 7s want to think that they're a 7 and hang around 3s for a reason. It's not because they snuck in to tempt you. Sometimes they got into your life and they're a 3 and you're a 7, and they're there because you like to hang around 3s so that you can feel superior. It does happen. That's why, for myself, why at times when I'm doing talks, I'll throw out personal stories, not because I think I'm a 3 now that I've shared a 3 story, you know, a 3 vibrationally 3, you know, but rather because it's my way of not having secrets, as it were. There are things that aren't necessary or relevant to be sharing about ourselves, but it's like, yeah, you know, here's when I did this, and this was a 3 and this was a 5, and oops here, and just clearing it so that they don't remain vibrationally at that level. My issues don't remain vibrationally at that level. Clear them, just let everything keep coming up to the top. All the sweet stuff coming to the top. And it also allows me to be that higher vibration. And then when other people say, oh, Michael, why would you even want to counsel me? Why would you even want to talk to me? Why, you know, because I'm a 3. I say things like, instead of, well, you're right, I barely have time for you since you're a 3 and I'm clearly a 10. What I tend to do is go, hey man, you know, that thing you told me about, we've all been there. It's okay. I bridge. Because I want that person to know they might be acting like a 2 or 3, but we're all 10s in the eyes of God, in the eyes of love. We're all 10s. So my job is to practice seeing myself up here, 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever, and seeing you there, not to see you as lesser than me. And I might bestow pearls of wisdom upon you today, if, you know, you happen to deserve it, which is a false way of lifting myself up. Teachers, authors, they do this all the time, you know, see themselves as so special and separate from their students who know less. I want to be inclusive. We're all going home. We're all going home together. And the only way you can understand that is not by splitting off and manifesting in your head what you want. It's by becoming the change you want to see in the world, not manifesting it, not attracting it because of your vibration. The very thought coming from that heady I want already confirms your vibration isn't very high. So that's why those things don't work very long for most people. Change, humility, change the self and go to a higher and higher level. Friends that have, you know, backstabbed or betrayed and done these things in this lifetime, what can I learn? How can I forgive? And then how can I become a better person from it? I just keep, this is me, my preference, and I just keep going higher and higher. And I find every set of, let's say, 10 years, whole new levels of being for me, whole new levels of more authentic friendships or intimacies or whatever it happens to be, whole new levels of prosperity. You know, I mean, honestly, our lives should be on that beautiful, gradual, steady, as she goes, improvement. No, try to quick fix. I'm going to get this now by setting my mind on it. Your mind is what screwed you up. It made you think, mind think. It made you think you were not a one with God and a holy child of God. So let that be uprooted. Let go to the heart. Fine, I'm going to own that. Give it up. Make room for God. And a whole new vibration descends upon you. It's kind of nice. It blesses you. It sanctifies you. Makes sacred your being. Whole new level. Thank you so much for sharing and learning and listening today, and allowing and giving me space to be able to channel these insights for you and for me. I very much appreciate it. Join us anytime you can, and hope to see you soon. Remember, most everything I do is for free. but I do appreciate donations if you would be so kind as to share those. All righty. God bless. We'll see you all very soon, I hope. Bye-bye.